Whew, yeah, these movies are really bad. Hey everyone, welcome to the top 10 list and welcome to my top 10 worst movies of the 1980s. Yes, the 80s is one of my favorite decades of film. Some of my favorite movies, a lot of my favorite movies of all time, all came out in the 80s, but yeah, there was a lot of garbage that came out in the 1980s, like some really fucking bad movies. And I'm here to celebrate those bad movies by making my top 10 worst movies of the 80s. Yes, you saw my worst videos of the 90s, 2000s, 2010s. This is the very last one I'm making. I'm not going to make my top 10 worst classic movies because honestly I haven't seen that many. I've seen a few, but not enough to make a top 10 list. But yeah, I'm going to finish off with the 80s, and my god, these are some really bad movies, so let's get to them. Here's my top 10 worst movies of the 1980s. And as always, before a top 10 list, you gotta have your honorable mentions, or in this case, dishonorable mentions. And my dishonorable mentions are Mac and Me, Howling 2, Friday the 13th, Part 5, and Hercules. You know, the one with Lou Ferrigno? Just awful. All terrible movies, just couldn't make the top 10 list, but what did make my top 10 was my number 10. And my number 10 is Howard the Duck. Yep, Howard the Duck. This stupid, atrocious anus of a film actually got greenlit. Thanks a lot, George Lucas. You just had to get this fucking movie made. The only time I want to see Howard the Duck is in Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe in the sequel, that'd be pretty fucking awesome, but this movie's awful. It has Tim Robbins. I don't know why. There's duck boobs. Why do I see duck nudity? That's so dumb. This movie's ridiculous. The effects are garbage. Just the look of Howard the Duck is just awful. The comedy's awful. I don't know what the fuck I'm watching. It's like this weird acid trip that no one wants to be on. It's just ugly, disgusting, and clunky, horribly directed. It's not even laughably bad. It's just bad. Coming number 9 is Grease 2. Yes, Grease Lightning, go Grease Lightning, go Grease Lightning. Okay, I'll stop that. Yeah, Grease. I love Grease. Grease is a great movie. It's a great 70s musical. It's cheesy, it's over the top, but I love it. Olivia Newton-John, John Travolta, it's so great. It's such a timeless film. Why the fuck would they make a sequel to Grease and put new characters that are nowhere near as likable or as interesting as the characters in the first one? Yeah, there's no Sandy or Danny Zuko or weird, interesting theories about this movie. The only theory is why this movie even exists. There's no good musical numbers, no good characters, no good comedy. This movie is just so bad. It's awful. These characters are irritating. The music is irritating. It's mind-numbingly stupid, and I despise this movie because I love Grease. I grew up with Grease. Yeah, that's all I just gotta say about Grease 2. It's just a fucking awful movie. Hate it. Hate it. Coming number 8 is Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Yes, never give William Shatner the director's chair because he's no Leonard Nimoy, he's no Nicholas Stoller, he's no J.J. Abrams, he's no Jonathan Frakes. He's just not a director because this movie is probably hands down one of the worst Star Trek movies. This and Insurrection. Insurrection's god-awful. I hate Insurrection. I hate Final Frontier just as much. This is just awful. How dare you put religion in a Star Trek movie and you put Star Trek's brother fighting God and this movie's ridiculous. It begins with fucking Kirk and Spock and McCoy sitting at a fireplace singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat, and just, it's awful. The effects, the writing, the direction, the costumes, the art direction, the set pieces, everything is awful. And that Aurora dance, oh god, no, never again. Don't want to see it. Don't want to look at it. It's just awful. I hate Star Trek V. I love Star Trek. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I love the shows, well, the two shows, Next Generation and the original series. I love most of the movies except for this and Insurrection. This is just so bad. And I thought all the original movies, even the motion picture, even though it's not a good movie, it just has its impact on me. There's no impact in this movie. This movie does not feel like a Star Trek movie. It's not uplifting, inspiring, and just action-packed and awesome like all the Star Trek movies are. It's just really boring, really dull, really derivative, horribly directed, horribly executed, and they just put a lot of things that they should have never put. And one of those things they should have never put is William Shatner in the director's chair. Just never again. I'm glad they never did it again. I'm just glad Nicholas Stoller returned for the next one. Just like this one is just awful. One of the worst Star Trek movies and one of the worst movies of the 80s. Just, it's so bad. Coming number 7 is Teen Wolf 2 because this needed to happen. The first Teen Wolf, I get it, it's a dumb movie, it's a dumb premise, but it's kind of fun, mostly due to frickin' Michael J. Fox. Like, he's great, he's so likable. Him doing the front and back flips and playing basketball as this really horribly designed wolf. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's the 80s, come on, it's Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf 2, let's put Jason Bateman in that movie, and all these other actors, we don't give a shit at the time. And, wow, it's awful. The effects look awful, the makeup isn't good, it's not funny, it's not clever. It's just ridiculous. It's a horrible B-movie that lacks in any scares. You know, they're not supposed to be scary, but at least make it scary. Like, do something different, because it certainly isn't funny, it certainly isn't original, and it certainly isn't watchable. I hate this movie. One of the worst movies of the 80s. Coming number 6 is the Garbage Pail Kids movie. Wow, this is hideously ugly and really unintentionally scary. This is just awful, and oh my god, the look of the creatures, the practical effects, it's just awful and ugly and disgusting. I am repulsed. I almost want to vomit anytime I see this movie. It's disgusting, it's ugly, it's just nauseating to look at. It's horrible, it's horrible, it's not funny, it's not at all good for kids. This is good for kids like fucking, what's that, Drop Dead Fred. That's, yeah, those aren't for fucking kids, and kids, they want children to watch this garbage. Drop Dead Fred's another piece of shit movie. Garbage Pail Kids, wow, the writing, the direction, characters, more like caricatures. This is just awful, atrocious movie. It's ugly to look at. It's repulsing, this movie. I almost feel sick after watching it. It is that repulsive, disgusting, ugly looking. The shots, the acting, the performances, the direction. I don't know who directed this movie, but god, they did a horrible job. I don't know who wrote this movie or what producers or executives thought this was a good idea. It wasn't a good idea. This is just a movie that's in everyone's nightmares, whoever saw it, because it's that bad. Coming number 5 is Maximum Overdrive. Yes, people could say, well, this is a guilty pleasure, it's a Stephen King movie, come on, it's a Cars coming to life. It's dumb. It is so dumb. You got Emilio Estevez as the lead character. And it's not a Mighty Ducks movie, so it's not good. And it's not Breakfast Club either. It's so dumb. It's about these fucking cars that get possessed by these demons, and they're cars that kill people. That's dumb and stupid. Everyone's like, what about Duel? Duel's not about a truck. It's about a truck driver killing people. And at least, if you want to make cars come to life and make it scary, put some atmosphere, put some good actors and characters, build the suspense, build the tension. This movie has zero subtlety. It just, cars come to life, one of them has the weird face, and it's just awful. The effects are awful, there's no good violence or good creative kills. Some people love it, some people call it a guilty pleasure. That's completely fine. I just call it a ridiculous mess of a film, and one of the worst Stephen King adaptations, and it's just awful. Coming number 4 is Piranha 2, The Spawning. Yes, the first one was garbage. This one's worse. Kind of like Piranha 3 Double D. First one was garbage, the second one's even fucking worse. This is atrocious. Yeah, James Cameron, you had to start somewhere, and he started with some utter fucking shit. This is awful. It's about piranhas eating people. That's it. There's no substance, there's no deep narrative, there's no depth or compelling or interesting characters, there's nothing thought-provoking or detailed or engaging or gripping about this movie. It's piranhas who like to eat people, and it's garbage. The effects, the performances, these characters, everything's garbage. It's ridiculous, it's over the top, it's a B movie, it's a B monster movie, but it's not memorable, it's not fun, it's not entertaining, it's not like Swamp Thing or, you know, those other ridiculous 80s B movies, like Tremors. I think those are the 90s, but yeah, those are just ridiculous monster movies that still hold up and they're fun and stuff. Like Monster Squad's another one. This is just an awful movie that no one remembers and no one cares to remember because it's awful. The only reason someone would ever watch it is because they would like to see how James Cameron started. He started with crap, but at least he got better as he kept going. Thank God for fucking Terminator, because this was garbage. Coming number 3 is Caddyshack 2. Yes, this is a movie I don't even want to talk about because I love Caddyshack. I love Harold Ramis. I love his comedies like Stripes and Groundhog Day and Ghostbusters, even though he didn't direct that. It's Ivan Reitman's movie, but still, he wrote it, and he's in it. I love Caddyshack. It's very clever. It's really dumb, juvenile humor, but it's clever. It's really clever, really funny. It's just so fucking iconic. How dare they make a sequel? Like, how fucking dare they? They don't even put the original cast. They don't got the fucking Rodney Dangerfield and stuff. And they have none of the good jokes, and it's just awful. I despise this movie. They're like, oh, let's focus more on the teens and stuff. And not as raunchy as the first one. Not as clever. We'll just make it even more dumber, more juvenile, and the jokes won't make a lick of sense. That will get the people laughing. It didn't make us laugh. It just made us angry. Coming number 2 is Superman 4, A Quest for Peace. Yes, very debatable if this is the worst superhero movie of all time. It's right there with, like, Batman and Robin and shit. This is awful. I despise this movie. This movie, actually, I think might be even worse than Batman and Robin. I only said Batman and Robin because I think Batman and Robin actually is a genuinely worse movie, but I think this pisses me off more because at least I can laugh at Batman and Robin. At least it's funny. There's nothing about this movie that's funny. The effects are just awful. They're not laughably awful. They're just goddamn awful. And Nuclear, I was gonna call him Meteor Man, but Nuclear Man is like the stupidest villain. How was he born with a cape and these clothes and shit, and he scratches Superman? Rawr. Yeah, who needs Wolverine? We got Nuclear Man. Rawr. The effects are awful. They use the same shot like a bajillion times. The action is absolutely atrocious. The first Superman movie came out in 1878, and they look better than this movie, and this movie came out in 1989. How is that fucking possible? And they even repeat scenes from the first one, like the flying scene with him and Lois. That is such a touching moment from the first movie, and they just directly rip it off. Gene Hackman's awful. They had John Cryer. He's awful. Everything about this movie's awful. It tries to be funny. It even fails at that. It's not funny. It's not action-packed. It's not freaking Superman. It's worse than Man of Steel. I know I hate on Man of Steel, but this is by far worse. And the number 1 worst movie of the 1980s is, everyone knows what my number 1 is. I've talked about this movie so many times. It's Jaws the Revenge. Jaws 4 The Revenge is one of the worst heaping pile of garbages I've ever seen. It's the worst horror movie I've ever watched. I've ever laid eyes on. I've never seen a movie this awful. It is so bad. It is really fucking bad. They even got, what's his name, Lance Guest or something? The guy from The Last Starfighter. I love him from The Last Starfighter. He's the lead character. He's Agent Brody's son. He's Chief Brody's son. He's not at all badass or likable like Chief Brody. Fucking Roy Schneider. He's awesome. And they killed him off screen this movie because the fear of the water is what killed him. Fuck you, movie. That is such bullshit. This movie is awful. You don't even see them kill the shark. The boat just hits the shark, and the shark just fucking explodes. You got Michael Caine in this movie. What a waste of a Michael Caine, even though that shit line is really funny. The effects of the shark look awful. The shark follows them to another country. How does it do that? Shark doesn't follow people. The effects of the shark don't even look good. They don't build the suspense. They don't build the shark up. He just shows the fuck up. That's it. He just shows up. Hey, I'm back, bitches, because I am out of revenge. I'm getting revenge on the Brody family. Why? Agent Brody, Chief Brody is dead. Why is he trying to kill these people? Sharks don't have revenge. They don't give a shit if you kill their family. They're fucking sharks. And how does a shark follow a family across the country? Does he have a jetpack? It's so dumb. This movie's the dumbest horror movie I've ever seen, and this is hands down, the worst movie I've ever watched in the 1980s, one of my least favorite movies of all time, and the worst fucking movie of the 80s, period. So yeah, that's my top 10 worst movies of the 1980s. So in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this top 10 list? If not, give me your top 10 worst movies of the 1980s. What are your thoughts and opinions? Comment below, let me know. And as always, for this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.